I'm Nikki Hartman. I am finishing up in the Inclusive Early Childhood Education program, where I've been working with children about ages 18 months old all the way up to 10 years old. I will be certified to work with children from birth all the way up to third grade as of next weekend. So for my capstone project, I decided to focus on teaching subject matter and really focusing on writing and how writing looks in those younger stages of life and how it continues on through their educational growth as they move through their academic careers in elementary school. So for my competency statement, I wrote that I am able to integrate writing across the different curriculum areas and that it demonstrates my competence at making that content knowledge accessible to all students. So what I'm really trying to focus on is that through writing, I am able to have students write and take that writing into different subject areas like math or science or in response to reading, and to really put their skills to the challenge and so that they become more confident in their own thinking. So the big question, why writing? Why not something like reading or math or something that teachers have to so heavily focus on? We've all heard the popular phrase, the pen is mightier than the sword. And in today's world, in today's environment, I think there's no more clear point to have children start to write and to begin writing, because their words matter and their stories matter. And as soon as we teach children that their words are validated, the stronger they're going to become in their own personalities. So because of this quote, I believe that when we empower children's written skills, they're going to become stronger readers, stronger mathematicians, stronger in all areas of academics, especially their verbal skills and how they think of themselves as students and as learners. Writing allows students to put a deeper sense of understanding into what they're doing and what they're thinking through their work. They're becoming higher level thinkers, thinking through their answers and in response to other evidence that they're trying to put into their writing. So for my first piece of evidence, I went back to my very first practicum at Pirtle Elementary School, where I was in a kindergarten classroom and I taught just one lesson, and it was just my very beginning introduction to teaching. So it was something that I was comfortable with, so I chose the writing area of the classroom to do my lesson on. Writing something I've always enjoyed and something that my teachers encouraged me to do, so I want to take that into my own classrooms. So I read the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, because it was doing Dr. Seuss Week. And I had the students respond to a model that I had made. So I made a sentence frame of, I would travel by, and then if they wanted, they could expand it to where they would travel. So for mine, I just put, I will go by hot air balloon. And I had the students then make their own of, I will go by plane, I will go by hot air balloon, and they wrote and they did some drawing to connect it all together. I was in a pretty typically developing classroom for kindergarten age students. I didn't have a lot of students on IEPs or with delays. I only had one English language learner. So while my students were writing as a whole group, I really wasn't tuning in on their individual skills. So then this brings me to my second piece of evidence, where I was at Everett Elementary in a first grade classroom, so a vastly different school. I was at a Title I school working with kids who were far, far behind where they should have been at their academic reading and writing levels. So for this one, during my lit block practicum, I had to work with an individual student on their reading and writing skills. So working with him was such an eye-opener to the needs of Title I children, which is where I really fell in love with Title I schooling and something that I get to continue doing. So I worked with him specifically on his writing goal and taking writing into the science area. I was there when they were doing their animal research projects. So for their animal research project, they had to do some stories. And so for the story my student did, we were able to make a story all about animals that he could present to the classroom. He had an individual one that we focused on, but then he wanted to take it a step further because he so enjoyed that time together with me, where he became so much more comfortable in his reading and his writing. So on Storybird, we had him write out on paper and then take it to technology and to begin writing. So he was able to focus on capital letters and punctuation. And all through his story, he used capital letters and punctuation for every single page. And this was such a big jump for him in his writing development that he's so much more confident that I'm sure now he's able to work on other skills. So in that classroom, I was able to focus on one individual student and really take writing into a different curriculum area, like science. but I wasn't able to effectively reach the whole class since it was not my time to have the classroom for myself. This brings me to my third piece of evidence, which I have just finished up. I was in a second grade classroom at Prescott Elementary, another Title I school with a huge range of gifted students, students of English language learners, such diversity, students who were at kindergarten levels, students who were far beyond second grade level. And I really had to tune it in to make the whole class be able to use the writing into different areas so that they became more confident in all of their learning. So I specifically focused on math for them. And so through math, I would have them write in response to the problems they were solving. So I was asking them to take a completely different skill, the writing, and put it into an area where they're not usually doing little to any writing. So I had them on one of their tests. I can't actually have the test, the school had to keep them. But I had one student come back and solve the problem just as she did on the test, where she was using some subtraction and she was doing the mathematical part of it. And then I took it to have her write it and to write exactly what she was thinking and how she was solving it. And so you can see where she had erased up here because she realized she wasn't getting the matching answer that she wanted. So through writing, she was able to think deeper and to become more confident in herself, to know that the process she had originally thought wasn't the right process. And if she hadn't done that writing, she might not have gotten that answer. So for the future, I've spent the past 8 weeks in a preschool classroom now, specifically working with a large majority of English language learner students. And we have the overall PLC goal through Lincoln Public Schools of having those English language learner students in such a young environment really begin writing. That's something I hope to continue with as I take over the classroom for myself next year. So as an educator, I hope to continue to become an advocate for writing in the early stages of life so children become much more used to that writing before they get up into the higher elementary grades, and they have that understanding that it's okay to make mistakes and it's okay to say what I want and to get that out there so that we validate what they're thinking as students. Through my synthesis, I believe that the integration of writing for students will strengthen their overall language, their verbal skills, their reading, their math, because they're doing so much deeper thinking, which is really bringing them up to a higher level of learning. And finally, for my reflection, I've learned how to integrate writing through these different curriculum areas, through trial and error and success. And I've seen all of that overall now, and I know that I will be able to take it and move forward in my professional career. And I've learned to work with individual learners as well as the whole group to be able to meet the different needs of all of the students, but to make them feel comfortable in their writing. And while I still need to grow on working with children who dislike writing or who greatly struggle with writing, it's something I look forward to doing as I continue taking classes and move hopefully towards a master's degree and as I begin teaching this coming fall.